We are just about to do our relaxation flow, and you don't need any extra equipment today. Everything's a little bit slower pace. We're just really focusing on the breath and the positions. So come and lie on your backs. I'm just going to grab my water actually. Right, so you can see me, can't you? I am just making sure my video can see me. Okay. So lie on your backs, feet hip distance apart, and we're just going to work on our connection, posture and breath first of all. So we're thinking about what we can feel connected underneath our bodies and the floor, and we should be feeling it underneath both our feet equally, underneath the lumbosacral junction, TL junction, both shoulder blades and the back of the head. So we're going to work our way up from our feet to try and get a little bit better connected. And we're really just going to focus on our bodies and what we can feel, and focusing on our breath, and just really trying to clear our minds of any of the worries that we've been having this week, any of the stressful thoughts. It's all about relaxation today. So we'll start with the feet. We're going to just shift the weight from side to side. So we want to create a bit better balance between the right and left foot. So we're shifting the weight from side to side until we can feel that we've got equal pressure underneath both our feet. And then when we've got that equal pressure, we're going to think about whereabouts we're feeling the connection underneath our feet. Are we feeling it on the outside of the foot or the inside? So if we're feeling it more on the outside, we're going to try and pull the inner arch down towards the floor without lifting the outer arch off the floor. So we want our ankles to stay in a neutral position. And if we're feeling it more on the inside, we're going to pull the outside down without lifting that inner arch. Again, keeping the ankle neutral. And we should be able to feel that pressure on the inside and the outside of the foot equally on both feet. So then we'll work our way to our lumbosacral junction. So we want to try and find a neutral pelvis, neutral lower back. So we're just going to start by tilting the spine and pelvis away from the floor. And then we're going to reverse that. So we're taking the pelvis down towards the floor, lower back towards the floor. So we've got anterior pelvic tilt with lumbar extension, posterior pelvic tilt with lumbar flexion. So we're just going to rock backwards and forwards. Until we find the midpoint between the two end ranges. And when we get the midpoint, our lumbosacral junction should be feeling better connected with the floor. There shouldn't be a gap underneath the back and the floor, and equally the back shouldn't be caved into the floor. So we're going to work our way up to our TL junction. So ribs and pelvis are like the pages of a book. We want to try and pull the pages together so that they're parallel with each other, so that we're not in this open book appearance with rib flaring and lumbar extension. So we want to pull the pages together, close the book, rib cage and pelvis become more parallel, and you'll feel better connection underneath your TL junction. Then you're going to make your way up to your shoulder blades. So they again want to be balanced. So you're going to try and shift the weight from side to side. So you're feeling that weight more equal. And then the shoulders themselves, they want to be nice and neutral, so try and pull away from being this elevated, internally rotated and anterior position of the shoulders. We're going to try and pull them back a little bit, externally rotate and depress. So they're going down towards the back pockets. And then we're going to work our way up to the back of the head. So your head wants to push straight back down towards the floor, so by activating the deep neck flexors. We don't want any neck extension or neck flexion, so we're pushing straight back down. So you'll probably need a little towel or a rolled up towel or a pillow underneath the back of the head. Okay, so we should be feeling nice and connected between our bodies and the floor now. And we're going to work on our breath. So we're going to take one hand on the chest, one hand on the tummy. And we're just going to focus our breath, trying to get the breath in the right order first of all. So when we take a breath in, we want the hand on the tummy to lift. And on the breath out, the hand on the tummy is going to lower. So we're going to use this breath work as a little bit of meditation as well. So we're just really trying to focus on what's happening with our breath. So try not to let your mind wander off. And if you feel your mind wandering, just every time you feel it wandering, just pull it straight back to what your breath's doing. And thinking about your body and the body position and the body connection. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, through pursed lips. So imagine that you're blowing through a straw. Just do a couple more breaths, making sure that the hand on the chest isn't moving anywhere. Hand on the tummy is the one that's moving as we breathe in and out. So it's those abdominal wall muscles that are doing the work. So once we've got the breath in the right order, we're going to put our hands around the waist. And we want to now create the 360-degree breath. So we're going to take a breath in. And you want to be able to feel all the muscles underneath the hands lift and push the hands away on the breath in. And relax on the breath out. If you're struggling to feel that activation, I want you to cough, feel the muscles expand, and then use that to just let your brain know where they are, and then think about those muscles. Really try and visualize those muscles lifting and expanding and pushing your hands away as you breathe in, and relax as you breathe out. And we want it to feel equal from front to back and from side to side, and we want it to feel nice and smooth. We don't want it to be an awkward breath, so where you start in your chest but then finish off in your abdomen. Just want it to be nice and smooth, creating a nice smooth cylinder around the abdominal wall. So imagine you've got a balloon inside your abdomen that you're inflating with every breath that you take in. don't want to be tensing the tummy muscles, so we shouldn't be feeling a six-pack. It should be just a nice cylinder. Okay, so once we've got the 360 breath, we're going to learn how to create our brace. So when we're doing something that needs more stability, we need to be able to create a brace, and we need to be able to breathe and brace. So we're going to create the 360 breath. And then before you take your breath out, you want to do an outward push. So you want to create that feeling like when you're about to fart. So an outward push. And try not to let the muscles completely relax as you breathe out. So just do a couple more breaths with your brace breath. Okay, so through this flow, we're going to think about our 360 breath consistently. We're just going to constantly try and be pulling our thoughts back to our breath and what that's doing. And then our posture as well. So we want to think about what our posture is doing. So everything's going to be nice and slow and controlled, and we're just really going to focus on our breath and on our position, and just try and let any worries just drift away from our minds. So put your feet together and palms facing up, and we're just going to start with some rotations of the spine. So we're going to let the knees drop to one side, and then the head is going to rotate in the other direction. Just really slowly, and then when we're trying to bring the knees back up to the ceiling, don't just yank them up. You're going to use the muscles in the abdominal wall on the opposite side to where the knees are pointed to try and pull the rib cage down towards the floor, bringing and pulling the knees up towards the ceiling as that happens, and then rotate down the opposite way, and then pull the ribs down, bringing the knees back with them, and then go the other way. So alternating from side to side, just in your own time. Really trying to feel this movement and this rotation in the spine. Feeling your breath. Just do a couple more each side. Okay, so feet back to hip distance apart, and then we're just going to float one leg up into the air and lower it down. Float the opposite leg and down. So we're alternating legs at the minute. Still working on our breaths, and we're just making sure that this movement is coming from the hip and not the pelvis and the lower back. And then if you can, but only if your back is feeling up to it, you're going to create your 360 breath, create your brace, and then we want to lift the legs up into the air both at the same time and try not to let the pelvis tilt forwards and the spine go into an extension position, and we're going to lower the legs back down. So only do this if your back is feeling okay. So if it's not, just carry on doing single legs. Nice and slow and controlled. Do one more, and then you're going to finish off in the 3-month supine. So this is where your legs are both in the air, feet above the knees, knees over the hips, hips in external rotation, feet neutral. But again, if your back's not very good at the minute, I want you to put your legs up onto the sofa or up onto a gym ball and just have your legs supported. And we're just going to focus on our breath, just hold that position. Let's do a couple more breaths. And then we're going to pull our knees into our chests. And we're just going to hold that now. So a nice stretch into the lower back. And focus on your breath again. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, through pursed lips. Imagine that you're blowing through a straw. One more breath. Bring your legs back into the 3-month supine. Pull one leg over, so we're making that 4 with the leg, and then we're just going to grab behind the leg that's not out to the side, and we're just going to hold that position. So feel a little bit of a stretch in the bottom of the leg where the knee is sticking out to the side. Again, focus on your breath. Bring that leg back, swap legs. So you should feel that stretch down the opposite bum cheek now. pull that leg back in. Put your hands up into the sky, fingertips pointed to the ceiling. We're going to lift the head slightly, look to the direction that we're going to travel, and we're just going to roll to one side, nice and controlled, so don't let your body flop. When we land, we want to keep the spine nice and straight, so we don't want to be this banana. And we want the pelvis and the rib cage and the shoulders to move at the same time. So there's no disconnection, so we're not just going shoulders, then pelvis, or pelvis, then shoulders. It's all moving at the same time. Imagine you've got your Lego body, and we're just rolling from side to side. Top hand, imagine you're trying to reach for something with that hand. And keep the legs where they are as well. Don't let them just collapse when they get to the bottom. They want to stay in that externally rotated and abducted and flexed position. Keep breathing, keep focusing on your breath, keep focusing on the position of your body and what's happening in your body. And then we're just going to come up into lower oblique sit, high oblique sit, and we're just going to turn into it. So a high oblique twist. So both hands on the floor with your mermaid legs, so we're twisting our bodies round. Try and keep nice and upright, so you're not all just slumped and sagging, head forwards. We want to keep nice and long in the spine. We're just holding that position and breathing. Put your arms down into low oblique sit twist. Every breath you take, feel that expansion in the abdomen and feel the spine sort of lengthening as you do it. And then we're going to come up, we're going to take that back leg straight, keep this front leg bent, and we're going to go into a pigeon stretch, but we're going to go down onto the forearms and just feel that stretch in that front glute. So we can just relax into this position. Focus on your breath again. Come up onto both hands. Curl the back foot under. Keep the shoulders active. And then we're going to pull that front leg back into a downward dog. Just hold that position for a second. And then take the opposite leg through. So other leg goes back and you're feeling that in the opposite glute now. Then you can just relax into this one. Okay, out of it, we're going to twist round, so into the opposite of oblique sit. So both hands down on the floor, and we're twisting the spine in the opposite direction now. Keep the shoulders active. Keep focusing on your breath, focusing on what you're feeling in your body, and then down onto both forearms. In through your nose, out through your mouth. .360 breath. Come back up onto your hands. And we're going to keep the hands on the floor. So I want you to, I'm just going to turn around. Keep the hands on the floor. Bring that back leg forwards. Keep it quite tight. And we're just going to lift the bum up into our bear, but this is quite a small bear. And then rotate round the opposite way. But keeping the hands on the floor. So normally when we do this, we'll take one hand off. But I want you to keep both hands on the floor. Rotate round the other way. And round. So you have to keep quite tight in order to be able to keep both hands on the floor. Nice and steady, nice and slow, in your own time. Don't rush the movement. Do a couple more. And then we're going to end up in bear, go down onto the knees, down onto the forearms, into your low quadruped. We're just going to find a neutral spine. Make sure this upper back's nice and long. And then we're just going to breathe and hold this position And just really slowly inch our way back. So flexing the hips. And feeling that stretch in the spine. And just focus on your breath. Just go as far back as you can. Flexing the hip, not the lower back. And just hold that position. Pull your mind back to your breath. And come out of it. As you come out, try not to let your lumbar spine go into extension. And then come up into quadruped. Again, find your neutral. Upper back nice and long. And again, we're just slowly going to flex the hip backwards. And just hold that position. Feel that expansion in the abdominal wall. So you'll feel your abdominal wall sort of pressing against your thighs. And then slowly come back, keeping that position of the pelvis and the lower back. And we're just going to do some cat camels. So we're going to arch the spine up towards the ceiling, curl the head in, and then reverse that. You're going to go the other way. And then reverse. Just going up and down in your own time, nice and steady. And then we're going to stop and we're going to go up into a bear. So we're going to curl the back feet under, find the neutral, create our breath and our brace and lift the bum into the air. And then from the bear position, just again go back into a downward dog. So straightening the back legs, bum up into the air, try and fold in the hip. And then back down into bear, into quadruped. Just give your legs a little shake. Find your neutral again. Curl back up, lift the bum in the air, and we're just going to hinge the hips backwards now. So flexing the shoulders, keeping the knees bent. I'm just going to hold that bear position, that high bear. won't be able to hold this for as long, so I'm moving forward so I can go and walk my hands back into the squat. And we're just going to try and go a little bit deeper into a deep squat. So the back's going to round more with this. And again, just really focus on your breath. You're only going to be able to go as far as your body will allow, so if you can't get all the way down here, don't worry about it. Nice big deep breaths into the abdomen. Come up out of that deep squat into a higher squat, and then we're just going to stand up out of that squat, and we're just going to do a few stand to squats, making sure we've got the neutral pelvis and neutral spine. So find that neutral pelvis, neutral spine, and then just slowly go down and come back up, trying to keep the spine nice and upright. Only go as far as you can. You don't need to try and force it lower than you can manage at the moment. The important thing is just trying to maintain that upright spine and that neutral pelvis and neutral lower back. Keep working on your breath. Do a couple more. And then when we're in this low squat, we're going to turn around into our high kneel position, and then put the hands down onto the floor, into your tripod, and we're just going to hinge slowly, slowly, slowly back, and we're just going to hold that tripod position in that backwards hinge, just focusing on being nice and upright through the spine, but only go as far as your back knee will allow. And we're just going to breathe and focus on our 360 breath. And then come out of that, up into your high kneel. And again, slowly hinge backwards. Staying nice and upright. Focusing on your breath. And come up, and we're going to stand from the high kneel, so make sure we're not too narrow, so foot out to the side, knee tracking second and third toe, pelvis level with the floor, and neutral spine, neutral pelvis. Lean into the front foot and stand. And we'll do Nyam's twist, so we're going to take the foot back, lower down, and then twist. So I'm going to go both ways. Stand. Back foot back. lower down, twist. Just in your own time, nice and steady. Make sure you don't take the back leg back too narrow, because then your front leg ends up narrow, so we want to take it kind of wide. Each time you go down, make sure your pelvis is level with the floor and not wonking out. And then this next one, we're going to go down into a squat and then turn the other way. Hands down onto the floor. Again, slowly rock back into your tripod hinge and just hold that position. Focusing on your breath. Nice long spine. Try not to round. Come up into your high kneel. And then we're going to hinge back again. And hold that position. Come back up. And again, we're going to go from the high kneel into stand with a bit of a twist. So don't be too narrow, foot to the side, pelvis level with the floor, knee tracking second and third toe, lean into it and stand. Back foot back, slowly lower down, twist. And just in your own time now, just standing and lowering and twisting. Again, keep working on your breath. Let's do a couple more. And then we're just going to finish off by just doing some rotations around to the opposite high kneel. So grab hold of your imaginary ball, pick the ball up and rotate the opposite way. Pick the ball up and the other way. Nice deep abdominal breaths. Let's do a couple more. And then we're done.